925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990. 949-8037 or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is For the Record.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Monday, the 10th day of February 2025, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We do hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on our roads, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle. If you observe the rules of the road, then, folks, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you traveling from the Eastern District this morning, and if you're coming from east of Savannah Meadows, there is, I think it's a Honda Fit on the left-hand side of the road, right opposite the housing project. After you cross Danielle's Drive, I think it's called, yeah. After you cross there, there's a Honda Fit that is heading in the opposite direction. So you're on the left-hand side heading into town. That is on your side, but heading east. When I was coming down this morning after 6 o'clock, couldn't figure out why traffic was moving so slowly, but everyone was basically slowing down to either look at that vehicle or something otherwise, because as soon as you crossed it, then traffic flowed very smoothly. So I just want to say to you, it is there. It is stationary. It is not in your lane. Don't be curious. Just continue driving so that you will maintain the flow of traffic on our roads as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more information. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these challenging times and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. I want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of the late Mr. Dave Rocket, as well. He certainly will be missed. Miss him on our roads. One of the nicer taxi drivers on our roads. He'd always greet us when we were on the road cycling early in the morning. You hear his horn tapping, 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 but it's not for us to get out of the way like some drivers do. It was to greet us because he knew who we were and that we were on the road at that time as well. So he certainly will be missed. I'm also hearing, and I haven't been able to confirm it yet, about someone else who's involved in the tourist industry and the transportation industry in the district of Northside as well, who I heard passed away, but I won't mention any more than just say that until I'm able to confirm that as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. Again, we want to extend our sincere good get well wishes to our colleague and friend DJ Lynn, also to a lady over in Tampa. I don't have permission to call her name, but she has a huge following and so much support behind her. Also want to say a big shout out, and good to know that he's recovered as well, to Mr. Lorenzo at Mango Tree Restaurant. Welcome back. Glad that you're feeling much better as well. So big shout out to Lorenzo this morning as well. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. We have a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow that you can call if you're using a Flow account. That number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp us 925-3261. We can only accommodate one caller at a time. There, you can follow us on YouTube. Do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and of course we are on Facebook as well. One of my listeners has sent me a WhatsApp message and said that they can confirm that Mr. McCurley Green passed away over the weekend as well. So we want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Mr. McCurley Green, as well. A constant presence on our roads, coming from the Eastern district. I believe that he had many customers from Moritz Tortuga Club, where he transported their guests to and from the airport as well. Wasn't unusual on a Sunday morning to see him walking his dog on Queens Highway as well. He resided not far from the the monument, Queens Highway, the Queens Monument on Queens Highway as well. It wasn't unusual to see him walking in the mornings, especially on a Sunday morning. So again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to his family, as well. This morning, later on, we will have in the studio with us representatives from Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, in the person of the director, Ms. Danielle Coleman. We also will have in the studio with us the mitigation specialist, Mr. Mark Codling, and the National Weather Service Director General, Mr. John Tibbetts, and they will be talking about the recent earthquake and activity, and tsunami threat. If you have any questions or observations, please feel free to send your observations or questions in advance so that I can pose them to our guest as well. And of course, there were several persons I saw where they were questioning the timing in terms of information coming out as well. And I want to talk more about that with them, the apps that are available and the various broadcasts. They will be on after the 8 o'clock news at 8:15 as well. So we have to look at our birthday shout-outs this morning. I have been asked to send out birthday greetings to Mr. Victor Chin, who celebrate his birthday today, the 10th of February. Greetings are coming from his sisters, Pat, Cherry-Ann, Anna, and also his brother, Vince. And they're saying to you, may God bless you for many, many more years to come. We are told that Mr. Victor Chin works at Health City in East End. So hopefully you're listening, Mr. Victor Chin, and happy birthday. Greetings going out to you, all coming from your family, brother and sisters as well. Okay, we are looking for the other birthdays. Okay, that's next week. We're going to deal with those later on. So we see Frankie Campbell celebrating a birthday today. These things are so faint. Ruby Hides also celebrating a birthday today. Miss Connor Godet also celebrating a birthday today. And any other more there, Miss Susan? Yeah, we have a few more that will be celebrated in a few days as well. But we want to wish all of them, Ruby Hides, Frankie Campbell, Connie Godet, and Trisha Jones, all celebrating birthdays today. Folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we return, I believe that either in a phone call or WhatsApp, someone inquired last week on one of the shows whether or not when did we start celebrating Valentine's Day in the Cayman Islands. And I have a clipping here from Tradewinds newspaper, and we know of one particular date when there was a Valentine's dance at the Galleon Beach Hotel. So we'll tell you about that. I'm not sure if that answers the person's question, but don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. When we return, we will pass that information on to you.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Clara Eden, Certificate of Honor, 1870 through 1969. Nurse Clara Eden was an extremely loyal and faithful midwife who traveled to all outer districts to deliver babies. She apparently had a record of the babies she delivered, along with the names of their parents in her first house, which burned down. At that time, she confirmed that she had delivered 1,500 babies, and when she retired, she estimated she had delivered 2,000. She took excellent care of both mother and baby for 9 days at the cost of £2. Nurse Clara was a faithful member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She was the only person in Grand Cayman who knew how to do starbread handwork, and in her spare time, she taught a few people how to do it.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
It will be Saturday, March 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The 13th Annual Rotary Central Health Check Lifesaver, a mini medical just for you, free to you. Your blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, hemoglobin, weight management, and more. Free medical guidance, doctors, nurses, medical technicians, free glucometers, blood pressure monitors, subject to conditions. Save the date March 1. See you at Cost You Less West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Home Depot, Foster's Airport, Foster's West Bay, Savannah United Church. The Rotary Central Health Check 25 Lifesaver, March 1st, supported by the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens and the Health Services Authority of the Cayman Islands, knowing changes everything.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts Building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part. Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm Max. What's your favorite part of school?
I love science. I love playing outside. What's yours?
It's lunch.
Ha! Yum. Yes, yum.
Yum School Lunch program ensures your kids have fresh, healthy lunch options every day. Yum School Lunches are now available at selected private and public schools across Grand Cayman.
My favorite food from school is pasta, jerk chicken, and spaghetti and meatball.
I love Cayman-style beef, chicken curry. Yum. We love school lunch. Yum.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We will have guests in the studio later on, representatives from Hazard Management Cayman Islands, as well as the Director General of the National Weather Service, talking about the earthquake activity over the weekend, as well as the tsunami warnings. So before we grab our caller, 1965, on the 15th of February 1965, there was a Valentine's dance that was held at the Galleon Beach Hotel. The Tradewinds newspaper reported that this function was organized by Mrs. Ethel Cook Borden in aid of the hospital fund, and that although the response to the invitation was poor, an amount of £141 was raised, and those who attended spent an enjoyable evening. Now, when we look at, there's a photograph there of the administrator, Mr. Sir John Cumber, and there's a photograph of him along with Mrs. Cumber presenting. Actually, the photograph is just of Mrs. Cumber. Mr. Cumber isn't on there. Presenting the prize to Mr. Fred Oakey and Miss Dorothy Holm, winners of the waltz competition at the Valentine's dance. Also in the picture are Miss E. Cook Borden, organizer of the function, and in the background at the mic, Mr. Sanders Sherwood, the MC. Music was supplied by the Sunshine Band. Now, everyone is dressed up and everything else, and then when you look at the name of the persons who won the waltz dance, and then we consider the fact that it said that despite the invitation, the turnout was poor, I would venture to say that the regular Caymanian was probably not invited to this Valentine's dance. So maybe that is the reason why the turnout was the way it is. We do have a caller, and we have about 7 minutes. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Here you with your time in 7 minutes.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. How are you?
Thankful. I'm not calling for what you just read out there, but all those names and last names, it is like any Caymanians at all.
Yeah.
That's how it is from day one. You know, we always sit in the back bench for some time, and when we sit back too long, then we realize that when we should have joined, we didn't. But I just called this morning in regards to the Newlands bypass. I don't know if it was willfully done or if it dropped off of someone's truck or car top, like how they like the car carry garbage on the car tops, and they read it sometimes. Up on the Newlands highway, look at these two huge garbage bags full of garbage, and they're all tore up, and garbage is all over the place. I'm just asking our people, if you got tote your garbage, can you tote it in a decent, respectable way that it doesn't make the island look like a garbage dump itself? Take your garbage properly to where you want to take it to. Don't put it on your car top. Don't put it on the back of your truck and let it blow off, or just drive and just throw it out of the window and say, you know what, somebody's going to clean it up. That's besides the point. That is nastiness. And who are doing these things, it needs to stop. And it's not even a little foster bag. It is those huge, big garbage bags up there on the highway. These people need to do better. I understand that we got a lot of new people coming up in this politics situation. I don't know when we're going to see their, what you call their book now that they have everything written up in.
Manifesto, their manifesto.
How the manifesto is going to be passed out this year, I don't know. And I just hope that you don't have to go to a meeting to get one of them, because I would love to read one or two of them to see really what they're all out there saying they're going to do for us. And I just hope that one of them top ones on their list is our garbage and people disposing their garbage anywhere on this island. People got material stuff thrown down in their locations, and nobody's up there letting them remove this and put it somewhere else and make it be so right. We got the lawn guys. They are toting stuff and it's flying off their trucks. They have no lights on their trucks. They have no license plates on their truck. And they're telling you that they're turning, and they don't care how you see it or how you feel it when they top you. We need some serious road codes on this island, because then everybody is practically out of control, and it's not.
Well, the codes are there. The question is whether or not they're rigorously being enforced.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, and then if we're going to get a new government or a partial, not partial, over. Somebody needs to do something in regards to how this island is being run, because it is being run too poorly in every department you could think of. And I'll just leave it that, because I haven't had my coffee this morning, so I don't want to get my nerves rattling too early.
Well, before you go, I see work is continuing, at least on the extension of the bypass from Hearst Road, and I guess it'll go up to somewhere near our Agricola Drive. I see work is continuing on that. Any views?
No, not at all. Just that I see them guys there working last week, and then I was on the eastern side yesterday. And I see two new roads up there on the eastern side, and I was wondering if they was going to be linking into that road, but I don't have any proof of anything. They don't start through. I don't know anything. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Well, you know, if they're going to build that road, they're going to start it now, because elections are on the corner, like everybody's using the word election. I hate to use it. And I just hope that when everybody gets in, that they'll continue to fix that road. Just don't let it sit there for 3.5 years, and then they come back and touch it to do some more thing to it, and then make the other government come in, and it's not going to get done. I just hate that when government starts something and the other government something and never finish it. That needs to stop too, because it wasn't under my administration. Bull.
Yep. That is so true. I believe that there are certain things that you will see continue because the funding is there. So, for instance, I guess until entities like, if the National Roads Authority and the membership of the National Roads Authority changes, then you may see them take a different direction. But, you know, as it stands, until they're replaced, and if the funding is there, they can still continue to do the work that they're doing at this point in time as well.
Well, I'm going to say this with no disrespect to anyone, and who's trying to get in, who's trying to come out, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, Jay is part of the public transport, and he's part of the transportation, and the roads, what do we call it?
That falls under his portfolio, yes.
Yes, and I want to say just how I feel it and what I have accomplished from the situation, that I just hope that when he gets back in, he'll get that same portfolio to continue doing the work that he's been doing. And this is not nobody asking me to do this. I am doing this from what I see and what I have felt since this man has taken over public transport. Because public transport needs to be revamped. And every time that he tried to do something that will make it better for us, there just seems not to acknowledge it. So I don't know what he got to put it on. He got to write it in a stone and take it and plaster it on the wall inside there for them every time they cross, for them to see this is how it's going to be, not like this. You understand? We need to try to stick with something that is working. When something is working, you leave it alone. When it's not working, that's when you go and you try to fix it to make it work better.
So true, so true.
Yeah, you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, folks. We've reached that time, top of the hour, the 8 o'clock news. Just one thing that I'm going to throw out to our East End listeners, and I'm sure that Lord Graham is listening in as well. Does the name Francis E. Clark ring a bell in terms of East End? If it doesn't, then it appears as if sometime in the 1800s, and I'll tell you the exact date later on, he laid the cornerstone for the East End Church, and the Christian Endeavor celebrated in 1965 the laying of that cornerstone in East End that took place 84 years before that. The name, Francis E. Clark. Is it familiar in the district of East End? Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is a minute after 8, brought to you with the kind compliments of Foster's.
Change is in the bag at Foster's. Starting February 2025, Foster's will no longer sell single-use plastic bags at checkout. Another step in our commitment to empowering a sustainable Cayman. Bag for better with our more resilient, cost-effective reusable bag designed to help reduce plastic waste while protecting our island's natural beauty. By choosing these reusable bags and repeatedly using them, you play a pivotal role in the fight against waste. Every small choice adds up to something greater. So help us make a meaningful impact for renewal. Foster's. Better because we care.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Big changes on the way for Parliament.
Be it now resolved that this Honourable House adopts the draft Parliament Standing Orders 2025 as the standing orders of the Parliament to come into force on the 28th of February 2025.
As one of its final acts of the 2021-25 term, Parliament adopted a new modern set of standing orders, the first comprehensive overhaul of them since 1976.
Transition into this modernized standing orders will not be such a sea change for our members of Parliament, as some of them are already aware and involved in most of these parliamentary procedures and practices. In some instances, this is a mere codification of the existing arrangement. It is hoped that these proposed amendments to the standing orders will offer desired and intended ease with the effective and efficient operation of our Parliament proceedings.
Attorney General the Honourable Sam Bulgen says key areas of reform include more structured parliamentary sittings, an urgent question period at each sitting, greater efficiency in parliamentary debates with updated time limits, and modernized procedures like virtual attendance. As you heard right here on Radio Cayman, Cabinet recently approved a series of budgetary shifts to cover educational costs, including a $2 million increase to the budget for facilities management and operational school support services. Premier the Honourable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly explains.
In 2024, the government school system saw an increase in student enrollment, which has affected several areas such as more students riding the school buses to and from school. Additional buses were added to key routes to support the growing population. Additional janitorial services to support increased instructional areas such as satellite classes for special needs students at various primary schools.
She told MPs in Parliament the additional ongoing maintenance of government school facilities and the repurposing of spaces to accommodate the growing school population has, quote, resulted in further increased costs, necessitating the need to pull $2 million from the budgets for policy advice, governance, and ministerial support services, as well as secondary education services. She also spoke to another cost-neutral move of $1.85 million into the budget for local and overseas scholarships and bursaries.
Due to the increase in number of students meeting the academic criteria for scholarships and the expanding associated benefits, additional funding was required.
That money came from 5 line items: advice, governance, and ministerial support, public schools meals program, medical scholarships, public school grants and COVID-19 recovery, and the budget for the University of West Indies membership levy. And in other news, it was an eventful night at the Harkwell Theatre on Saturday.
You're in for a phenomenal treat. Without much further ado, I'd like to invite Sakoni. Enjoy.
Some exciting music there as the Saccone Quartet wowed the crowd. The second concert of this year's 2025 Cayman Arts Festival. And that intense music was on theme with several emergency alerts going off in the crowd after Cayman saw a brief tsunami warning Saturday night. And a 7.5 magnitude earthquake was detected 202 kilometers southwest of Georgetown. But it didn't shake up the professionals, with the performance continuing as scheduled. With the first week of Cayman Arts Festival down, Executive Director Marius Guina tells Radio Cayman the action continues on Thursday.
We have our Cayman Arts Festival Youth Camerata, which is our camerata means a small orchestra. They are very versatile. We have some of the best kids that at this moment they are on island on strings and other instruments. We put them together. We will have Deacon Smith, our cellist that is coming to perform with Camerata, and also a violinist that is coming from United States, but she's originally from Romania, Irina Mureșanu. She was here a few times. She's working with Camerata. She knows them. She came 2-3 times.
Other performances include the Mark DeLisser and First Baptist Church Choir concert on Friday, and finally the Vanille, Miller, and Reggae Orchestra concert on the 15th. All tickets can be purchased online at eventbrite.com. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Kersley Fuller.
BBC News with Eileen McHugh. President Macron's envoy at a 2-day Paris summit on artificial intelligence has promised it'll be a turning point in the development of the sector. And Bouvereau said it marked a moment of true global openness, encouraging more countries to participate in developing AI. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Boddentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Get your tickets now for Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day, the 56th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Wattler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley, Ash Wednesday, March 5th. Raffle tickets are on sale now at eventpro.ky and include general admission to the show. Not one, but 2 $10,000 grand prizes. All the fun, all the entertainment, the food, the animals, the plants, and homemade goodies. Get your raffle tickets now at eventpro.ky. The 56th Annual Agricultural Show, Ash Wednesday, March 5th.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center.
Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call me today, Michael Webster, at 925-5433.
UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322.
Super Jam.
Also brought to you by
Cayman Airways. Call them at 949-2311 to book your non-stop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Superior Auto Center. Do it right the first time with Superior Auto.
949-9570
or 525-9571.
Superior Auto.
They keep your car
in tune.
And Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
An Ocean Deep Mobile Massage, your go-to for high-quality massage and spa services. WhatsApp 924-4159 or email oceandeepmassage21@gmail.com.
The #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 87%. The barometric pressure 1018.9 millibars. The wind is east at 5 knots. Synopsis indicate moderate winds and seas expected to continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system remains over the southeast United States. Radar images show isolated showers around the Cayman area moving towards the west. Now the forecast for today calling for mainly fair skies with partly cloudy spells and a 20% chance of morning showers. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, mainly fair with partly cloudy spells and a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to northeast 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet as well. High tide will be this morning at 9, low tide this afternoon at 9 minutes past 3, and a high tide again tonight at 8:37. The sun will set this evening at 6:22 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:56. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday evening.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, site screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning to you. Let's check a quick look at what's happening on our roads. Slow-moving traffic on Koo Road heading to Georgetown. Delays expected. Steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way and Agnes Way. Slow-moving traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. Further up on Shamrock Road, traffic flowing moderately in both directions. Into Georgetown on Shedron, not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. As we look to Edward Street, that is currently closed. Diversion in place. Please follow all the traffic signs. Owen Roberts Drive flowing moderately, and coming from the Westway 4-way stop, traffic is moderate as well. On the Westway Road and from the Ritz, traffic moderate in both directions. Godfrey Nixon Way and Easton Avenue flowing pretty good in both directions. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
For the past 10 years, Health City Cayman Islands has been providing a comprehensive range of in-house medical services, from routine care to highly complex surgeries. We've transformed healthcare in the region, saving thousands of lives in the process. Recognized for quality and excellence, Health City brings together expert doctors, the best technology, and the latest techniques to provide world-class healthcare to those who need it. Health City Cayman Islands, a decade of healing.
Hi, I'm Deputy Governor Franz Manderson, and I'm excited to announce the DG's 5K Challenge is just around the corner. We kick off things in Little Cayman on March 9th, followed by Cayman Brac on March 16th, and the grand finale on Grand Cayman on March 30th. This year, we're supporting the Cayman Islands Girls Brigade, the Cayman Islands Scouts Association, and the 1-to-1 Foundation, each helping to shape our next generation. Join us in making a positive impact. For registration details, find us on Facebook at DG's 5K Challenge.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Mr. John Tibbetts, who's the Director General of the National Weather Service of the Cayman Islands. We should have Ms. Danielle Coleman and Mr. Mark Codling in the studio with us shortly as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to say good morning and welcome back to For the Record to Mr. Tibbetts.
And good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, we had some activity over the weekend, and it seemed as if the Cayman Islands made international news as well. You know, I heard some people say, oh, it was on CNN and it was here and it was there, you know, as well. And while we await the representatives from Hazard Management Cayman Islands, let's talk about the National Weather Service's role over the weekend.
Okay. So how the system is set up for earthquake monitoring and warnings is 911 currently serves as essentially the 24-hour monitoring for the any earthquakes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's because the National Weather Service is not yet 24 hours. However, it's a process, and we've been working very hard at trying to get it 24 hours, and we're hoping that at some point this year we will go 24 hours, and then the National Weather Service will hold that role. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the 24-hour service collects the information. Hey, you've had an earthquake and what have you. and they will inform hazards management that we've had an earthquake, and then we can start to look at putting together warning statements and if that is needed, and get out information to the general public and any kind of warnings that we have. Obviously, Mrs. Coleman and her team will be talking about the NENs and what have you that they have that communicates to the public.
So can you speak to how, at this point in time, 911 obtains the information that they receive in terms of a particular incident, and this one in particular?
Well, we would 911 would be getting information from companies like the USGS, the United States Earthquake Monitoring Agency, and usually what ends up happening from them is that they get a first guess and get that out immediately to you. You'll then use seismographs that are closer to where the earthquake occurred to get a more accurate fix on the exact value of the earthquake. So I think you would have heard first that the first guess was like about 8.0 or something like that, and I think they downsized it to about 7.6. Saw some other numbers, but they didn't pan out. It looks like 7.6 was the final number.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of what organization like the USGS does is that it puts out forecasts. So they're gonna make a first guess at where it could be impacted by the earthquake. Now, an earthquake impacts you in two separate ways. There's the earthquake itself. Okay. Now, when we look at the history of this particular system, on the 7th at about 5:56 p.m., we actually had an earthquake of about 4.3 magnitude, and that was basically close to 24 hours before everything else set off. All told, we had like about 8 earthquakes, but most of them around the 4 to 5 magnitude, with the big one coming at 6:23 p.m. at 7.6. The earthquakes that occurred shortly thereafter, you would regard those as aftershocks. And when you look at them, it's important to realize that all of the aftershocks and even the earthquake the day before all occurred basically in the same area. So from a scientific point of view, getting down to what's causing the earthquakes, it's about plate tectonics and the plates moving and pressure building up and what have you. The Cayman Trench is basically the fault line that is in our area. And it's the fault line between the North American plate, which the Cayman Islands actually sit on, and the Caribbean plate. So the North American plate is moving towards the west-southwest at about 23 millimeters per year, while the Caribbean plate is moving east-northeast at about 20 millimeters per year. So the two plates are basically sliding across each other, sliding almost like parallel to each other, which is good for us. It means that when you have an earthquake, your displacement of water or land tends to be more horizontal. All right. When you get the big earthquakes or the big tsunamis is when you have vertical displacement of water. And this fault that's alongside us is what we define as a transform fault. It, generally speaking, does not produce large tsunamis. Okay. That being said, the science is such that we don't know the makeup of the land that is the base down below there in the fault line. Okay. And it means that we don't know if there are areas in which may cause the two plates not to smooth smoothly across each other. And there may be times when they stick Okay, and that's usually what causes with a big earthquake, like a fairly big earthquake like this one. Now, I looked back in the Cayman, Jamaica area over the past 10 years. There have been about 3 or 4 decent-sized earthquakes. Back about 2018, we had a 7.5. That was pretty close to the same place that this one's at. And in 2020, we had 3 earthquakes, including a one that was about 7.7, which was listed as northwest of Jamaica. Different location on the fault line, but still some of the same problem. One of the things that's helping us also with the earthquakes is that the earthquakes are all at about 10 kilometers down. All right. It's good, decent distance down in depth and what have you. But when you get earthquakes shallower than say 5 kilometers down, then you start to get a lot of physical damage, destruction to buildings and what have you. So a lot of these earthquakes are happening at a good enough depth. They'll shake you and all that kind of stuff, but they don't do necessarily a tremendous deal of physical damage on the surface.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction, Mr. Tibbetts. So we have in the studio with us the Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands, Ms. Danielle Coleman, and Mitigation Specialist, Mr. Mark Codling. I'm going to start with Mr. Mark and say good morning, welcome to For the Record, and then go over to Danny and say welcome to her and then give her the mic. Mr. Codling, good morning, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. O'Connor, and morning to your lovely guests as well.
Okay.
Listeners.
Danny, good morning, welcome back.
Thank you so much, sir, and a very good morning to all our listeners today, and of course Mr. Tibbetts himself, and obviously Mr. Codling as well, I've seen this morning, but a very good morning to you all. We've had quite the eventful weekend. I know John's already spoken a bit about the technical background to what happened on Saturday night, but again, I think it was always a really good reminder that, again, you know, Cayman is susceptible to different hazards. I've heard so many people say to me over the last few days, oh, tsunamis can't happen in the Cayman Islands. And that simply is not the case. Tsunamis can happen in the Cayman Islands. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of years with NOAA. And as such, yes, the threat is low, but again, we can't avoid the fact that that could happen. So we want to make sure everyone's always prepared to respond no matter what the eventuality is, be it, again, a tsunami, an earthquake. I guess the problem thing with this one was, you know, if you don't feel it, I mean, a lot of people did feel it. We've had so many reports of people being felt, the actual, both Saturday and Friday.
Yes, correct.
But at the same time, if you don't feel it, you know, when you get that alert, you know, say there's a tsunami potential, it's obviously very, you know, concerning. You know, even if you do feel it, at least you've got a bit more notice because, you know, we all know drop, cover and hold. And again, if you don't know that by now, please make sure you are informed as to what to do. We have a lot of information on our website at caymanprepared.ky. We also want to come in as much as possible to do schools, churches, civil service clubs and so forth. Just make sure everyone in the Cayman Islands knows exactly what to do if we have an earthquake or a tsunami.
Mm-hmm. Now, so you mentioned Friday and Saturday. I think the reaction from most persons were in relation to
Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday was
Yes.
obviously much bigger. So the original report was a magnitude 8 on the Richter scale. Now, of course, what happens, you may have seen the numbers go from 8 to 7.6, and this is quite normal because what happens is that the scientists at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center and NOAA and USGS are constantly analysing what's happening. So that obviously went down to a 7.6, but a 7.6 magnitude earthquake is a substantial earthquake. And again, it's close enough to Cayman to really feel it, but also have a tsunami threat. And again, going back to Saturday, we were, obviously the region was under an advisory, whereas Cayman and Jamaica were actually under a tsunami threat. So that we have to act, and we have to do whatever we can to make sure the public are informed and that the means is going out, the alert's going out, and so forth.
Okay. So we're going to take a commercial break. Now, when we return, Mr. Tibbetts touched on the protocols that are in place, when there's an event like this. I want you to talk more about that as well, because in this time in our life where everyone is looking for instant gratification, instant news, and everything else, they expect things to happen like that. So we want to talk about the protocols that are in place And of course, we want to talk about the NENS system. And we have several questions here from, I've invited our listeners to send us questions in advance. And I have some of those that I will share with you as well. So, folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. The conversation with Mr. Mark Codling, Mr. John Tibbetts, and Miss Danielle Coleman will continue after this short commercial break.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts Building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about the recent earthquake activity and the tsunami threat. That conversation is taking place with Hazard Management Director, Ms. Danielle Coleman. Also in the studio with us, we have the Director of the National Weather Service, Director General, of the National Weather Service, Mr. John Tibbetts, and also Hazard Management Cayman Islands Mitigation Specialist, Mr. Mark Codling. So we want to talk about the protocols that are in place once we have, an event.
Okay, so the general situation is if people report it to 911 and there's a felt report, as in someone felt it and they report it to 911, 911 would automatically call our HMCI duty officer, who then calls me or calls me directly. Alternatively, again, we have monitors. I guess it's a very different approach when you're in the office and we've got all our monitors off. We have, obviously, on our cell phones, we have alerts coming through. So USGS would come through and so forth. But what would generally happen, 911 would call us and then we would activate our protocols. And that would be both, obviously, at every level. So the public information is so critical when it comes down to tsunami warnings. If you didn't feel it, and again, the tsunami potential threat is there, we need to do everything we can to get the word out as wide as possible. And that goes through our National Emergency Notification app. We can breach the radio stations as well, which was phase one of our notification system. And phase 3 that we're working on is a cellular broadcast, which again would be a really good asset to the Cayman Islands. Obviously, that would be one of those things, like the Amber Alert in the States. Everyone in the Cayman Islands would get that alert straight away. So that's what we're currently working on at Hazard Management. Obviously, it's quite a big ticket item, but again, it could save lives, and so it's a really big priority of ours at Hazard Management. But generally after that, again, making sure that everyone's informed, from the public to, obviously every level of government. There's a role to play for, Governor, Premier, Cabinet members. So there's lots of things going on simultaneously. But of course, you'll appreciate in this kind of scenario, there's so little time.
Yes.
Now we had, obviously the earthquake was at 6:23 on Saturday. And then the all clear we gave at 9:15. I just want to mention very briefly about the all clear, because I know obviously when you look at USGS, which is open source, you can see the potential suspected wave for Cayman Islands would have been, I think it was 6:58. So at 6:58 we were expecting, if anything was going to happen, it was around then. But of course, we can't give the all clear until we get that all clear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. So hence why it came at 9:15, because the all clear was given to us by about 9:03, I think it was. So hence the delay between the suspected wave potential and the all clear. Cayman Islands does not have the scientific experts to be able to analyse that, nor do we have the material and the data and the, that kind of, that comes from Honolulu, it comes from Hawaii. So that we have to wait. We saw across...
I think that is so extremely important.
It is,
If you could repeat that again, because people have an expectation that the decisions that are made here are based on your findings as opposed to
we are not the scientists
here.
Yes. So we are obviously we're the coordinators, and as such what we do and another thing just to bear in mind, when we have a tsunami threat, this comes to an email. It's not even an alert from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The only way of notification from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is via email. So the first thing we see is the USGS, which is an alert, and we also have other apps on our phone. So the more sensitive apps, the earthquake apps in the region we have, but we would never put that out because they're not verified official sources until we verify it from the USGS site. So as soon as it's on the USGS site, we will put it out in our social media. We'll be preparing the social media and obviously message before then, and then as soon as that USGS confirms it, we'll get it out. So that's why you sometimes see a delay in hazard management's notifications, whereas other people and sources can get it out there. We have to rely on the official source from the USGS. And then again, going back to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, that's an email. So what we do simultaneously, again, you're posting on USGS about the earthquake, and then you're receiving emails from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Again, a totally different department as to the threat of a tsunami. And all notifications come through that. We're online on the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, but we're also checking the emails. So kind of a lot going on at the same time. And that's why, again, it's important that everyone in the public really understands what that looks like, because we are not the scientists.
Yes.
We rely on the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center to give the region the all clear. They do say on the website, they say obviously, and local authorities like Hazard Management and the Weather Service can obviously put our own advisories out as to what's hence why we did on Saturday night about there are still potential for wave actions, but we've been given the all clear. So that's a bit more tailored towards Cayman, but at the same time, we have to wait for the Pacific Tsunami Center all clear. And as such, that didn't come until 9, just after 9. So that's just so the public understands why that delay happens from 6:58 when the wave, if at all happening, would have passed, to 9:15 when we put the all clear out.
Okay, Mr. Codling, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. Just someone said to be signed. Just to touch on before
I just wanted
Sure,
to bring
Go ahead,
something
John.
on here, and that is, like Pacific Warning Center, Pacific Tsunami Warning Center are the experts, but understand something about earthquake and tsunami warnings, and it is a fairly new field. All right, and there is so much unknown about it. And basically, for me and you, if you're the layman on the street, you hear an earthquake. Oh, we got a tsunami.
Correct.
Not necessarily, because not every earthquake generates a tsunami. And the only how the tsunami center or the Cayman Islands government or anybody else is going to know something is if a tsunami hits someplace. Okay. And as a reminder, really and truly, a tsunami is not one wave, but is a series of waves. So when we hear that we had that initial time at a few minutes to 7 in the evening, but the all clear isn't until 9 o'clock, it's because the Tsunami Center is actually confirming that there are not any additional waves. They did detect a wave, all right, they detected a wave in Mexico. Okay, and of course the nature of the sciences is that you could have had a wave going towards Mexico, but you might not have had a wave going towards the Cayman Islands. And that's the nature of the science of it. So there are going to be delays even from the Pacific Center. Okay.
Now, has all these warning systems, have they been wrapped up since Aceh? Was it a New Year's?
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day.
Indonesia.
Yeah, in Indonesia, yeah.
There's been a lot of work done since that time in terms of on a global scale, looking at the whole, tsunami awareness and a big part. And I know Danny will speak to that closely in terms of Carib Wave 2025 event that's taking place in March. And that event has really pushed in terms of awareness, not just awareness, but ensuring that we exercise our plans right across the region. It's a collaborative effort. But just before I speak to Carib Wave event, I really want us to focus more on the aspect of the NENS app in particular. Just to highlight to persons, firstly, we have different means of communicating with the public. Thanks to the team from Department of Communication, they've been very supportive, working closely with hazard management. Well, when it comes to the NENS, we have 3 different channels that we focus on: email, SMS, and the app. While persons would have seen up to on Friday, we had 9,263 users in our system. On the first notification that was sent on Saturday at 6:39 p.m., we had, after that it was sent out, we had an uptick of almost 400 persons who subscribed. So what we saw again, that sudden shift, we know persons had some challenges. What we're trying to do, we're working close with our team. We're going to ask persons if there's any challenge with the app at all, please email us at nens@gov.ky. In addition, we'll ask persons if you do have the app from time to time, just go in and refresh just to check. In addition to that, when it comes to the persons who would have seen messages would have probably been logged, because it has an inbox within the app as well. You might see old messages that's coming up, but the focus is for you to refresh your app from ever so often. One of the elements that we're trying to focus on is to work closely with different groups just to ensure if there's any challenges with the installation. There are a series of steps. We try not just to focus on just one means of communication, but ensuring that you also subscribe to SMS and email. No, Danny spoke to phase 3, which is what we are working towards. As you will know, especially when it comes to our visitors who are coming in and parties who are staying for a short period, if you're in the proximity of a cell tower, the cell broadcast, it automatically picks up the cell phone that's within the region, and that notification, there's no subscription required. As indicated, this system requires close collaboration, maybe not just public but private sector. The telecos working too closely with some regulatory adjustments probably required, but it's something that we're working towards with a series of stakeholders. So that, I think, will definitely address a much wider reach. Because while we know within the aspect of our WhatsApp groups that was very active, we do know that a few persons would have indicated that they weren't aware, and that's something that we need to address going forward.
Okay,
Danny, you want to add to that?
That's the observation from one of our listeners.
Yes, sir.
Person says, why not require all cell phone subscribers or subscriptions to auto load this app instead of asking people to download? Too critical to leave up to the people.
Yes.
It was disturbing the number of people that did not even know about this warning.
Yeah, I think I can add 2 pieces to it as it relates to the aspect about data protection. For subscription to the app, that's what something that we explored in terms of having preloaded under purchase of a phone, for example. But what we encountered, the email is required for registration, and as it relates to our data protection, it has to be something that the user has to give authorization. So what we try to encourage is really working closely with a series of stakeholders in encouraging persons, especially when it comes to organizations. So if you have a financial institution or a bank, schools, we try to get into those institutions and say, express in terms of the importance of having this app. So while we are working towards phase 3, which is the gold standard, in most jurisdictions we have seen, like in recently UK did their test, United States from time to time do their annual test. It's something that really takes a lot of work, but it's something that we're dedicated to get towards.
So this wouldn't really fall into a public interest situation where it is in the interest of the public to be able to have timely notification of an event that could adversely impact them, could cost their lives. As a matter of fact, I'm just putting that forward in terms of an argument to regulatory authorities like OFREG, for instance. And how do other jurisdictions deal with this? Because we know many jurisdictions will not necessarily rely on the public or the individual providing that information or going and downloading the app, but have some measure of broadcast to them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, OC. So we are working with OFREG to try and ensure that the parties involved, obviously the telecoms, come on board and have that automatically on the SMS system. Obviously, the app does require someone to download it, and but one other thing I would say, it's obviously there's an expectation on everyone to sort of know what to do and take proactive measures for their own personal safety. So we really do strongly encourage everyone to download that app. We are monitoring a lot of the social media pages to check to see what the technical issues are. We are asking people to obviously report those technical issues to us at neens.gov.ky.
No, neens at
gov.ky. Thank you, Marky.
No problem.
But what I would say again on that, there is numerous different things. I mean, we talked years ago with OFREG about sirens. We talked about there was about 14 different options on a white paper that was presented by OFREG many years ago. Mm-hmm. We obviously have to focus on what we think is the most important, far-reaching ways of getting the information out. So sirens are a great thing, but the problem is with sirens is that they get really badly impacted by salt, and they're really difficult to maintain. And again, the first thing that blows away in a hurricane is a siren. So at the end of the day, we didn't think it was the best bang for the buck. Obviously, phase 1, which is a radio interrupt, which we can do very easy from our office space. The app, again, does require people to download it. But again, if you know that your safety is at stake here, we really strongly encourage people to do that because we want people to be proactive. And as Marky mentioned, phase 3 is cellular broadcast, which again will be a good problem solver for all these issues.
For all issues,
yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue with Mr. Mark Codling, Mr. John Tibbetts, and Ms. Dana Coleman. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Mr. Mark Codling from Hazard Management, Cayman Islands. Also, Ms. Danielle Coleman, who is the Director General of Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, and the Director General of the National Weather Service, Mr. John Tibbetts. We're talking, about the earthquake and tsunami event that took place over the weekend.
I think we want to mention again the WhatsApp channel, Mark.
Yes. So within the Department of Communications, they, especially recently, last year in particular, we had a series of inclement weather conditions, tropical storm and hurricane. They had implemented a public WhatsApp group channel that focuses really on notification. That was very active. I know they have thousands of users within that channel as well. Because what we are trying to do is various persons would have different type of devices. And the idea is we've got to think about a wide cross-section of persons we need to reach during emergency. And I think that proves to be one of the mediums in which was utilized. So we got to give kudos to our colleagues from the Department of Communication, being led by Ms. Onisha Richards.
Okay.
I think that's the point. It's like trying to get the word out as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Now, again, because you are so time bound here, we don't have the time to be faffing around. There really is. If you think it was 6:23 that we had the initial quake, and again, a lot of people didn't feel that. And then the expected time of any potential arrival was 6:58. So you're talking about, my math is terrible, but about 30 plus minutes there, right?
Yeah.
And again, trying to get the word out as quickly as possible to as many people as possible. So that's why it's so important to be sharing those official sources with as many people as possible. The one thing I would say, it's so critical, and I know this is so much easier said than done, but it's so critical people do remain calm, because of course one of the biggest issues that we have is people get very flustered, and other issues happen like road traffic accidents. And I heard of one restaurant obviously trying to evacuate everyone very quickly. Obviously we're in a very tricky predicament here in Cayman, because we're on average 7 foot above sea level, and we obviously say go in and up, or go up as much as possible. We appreciate there isn't a lot of elevated buildings in the Cayman Islands that you can get to in that kind of space and time, and obviously we do not want people, if they can avoid it, to get to be on the roads, because if you're in a 2-story apartment, chances are you're very, very safe. We don't have the same kind of tsunami action that you might see in other places of the world. Albeit the threat is still there. So, going to a second floor, if you're if you can get onto a second floor, great. If you are on the coast in a very, rickety building with 1 story, then yes, please do go inland. But, you have to be quite proactive with this. You look at your own home. What's the threat in your own home?
Yes.
We've been working with schools since 2020, because, we've been working with schools long before that, but we had the same issue in 2020 with the earthquake and the tsunami scare. I can't remember if it was a threat or an advisory at that point.
Yes.
But we went around to each school and actually looked at their own specific risks, because obviously each school has a different risk. So 1 story on the coast, in Old Prospect Road, for example, is going to have a very different threat from Walker's Road when it comes to tsunamis. So we've done a lot of work with the schools. We've obviously part of their evaluation, we evaluate their plans every year, all hazard plans. So obviously very, very much engaged in that. And we do a lot of work with them doing drills and so forth, and also working with the PTAs, parent-teacher associations. So I think it's one of those things that we have to continue doing that, and we will be doing that in the Carib Wave exercise in March. Ironically enough, the Carib Wave exercise happens every year, but this year's exercise is based on a magnitude 8, very close to Jamaica, I believe.
Jamaica, yeah.
So you couldn't get more real to life. It's bizarre. It's very strange. So again, we'll be working on the app then, and we'll also be working with the schools. But we can, encourage anyone to get involved in that, because the public can get involved in that exercise. And there'll be a lot more information coming out on our website at www.caymanprepared.ky on that exercise. So for anyone who wants to get involved, from schools to individuals, everyone can get involved in that. And the more people that are prepared,
private sector,
the more people prepared to understand what to do in their own either homes or line of work. If you're in a building in town, for example, the threat is different from if you're working on the coast, as a dive company.
So you mentioned the buildings, and one part of the question that came from one of our listeners was that whether or not taller buildings could be designated the same way that we have hurricane shelters, whether or not tall buildings could be designated as an area that you go to in the event that the tsunami warning has been put out there. And while you're talking about that, maybe you can talk about, the pros and cons of getting into your vehicle, and how does that work? As a matter of fact, this person actually said, can we prepare a national plan for if we do need to go on the roads to seek higher ground? For example, all vehicles leaving X area turn right, head towards X, and do X to avoid choke points. I know they say stay off the roads, but there may be a time when we do have to evacuate. If we practice it, reduce panic and chaos. Even the schools know better what to do than the office workers. And such as people need real life examples to concrete their preparations.
It's a really, again, to give. I think people have got to realise that the time space we've got here.
Yes.
So in the space of 30 minutes, the police were out
the police were
full
out,
force on Saturday night.
Coordinated through 911, Department of Public Safety.
But trying to coordinate that in such a small period, obviously a lot of it's pre-work, but trying to get police officers in different locations to do that is very, very tricky. I think but again, we'll take it on board and see how what the conversations we can have with police and see what that reality could be, if that could become a reality. In regards to the buildings, we did work with a lot of the private sector post the 2020 earthquake on this, and again, I think a lot of the time was like, if something happens at 8 o'clock at night, how do we get the security guard to open up in that kind of time frame? Because we're not talking about a elongated event, we're talking about literally 30 minutes, sometimes sooner. Sorry. So I think it's it's definitely something we saw in 2020. I know when we had a lot of tourists coming into the government admin building, and we worked with our security guards saying basically, open all the actual doorways so people can get up the stairwells, because of course they're all protected by security as well, and you have to unlock that security so people can get up the floors. Obviously, we don't want people using elevators if there's been an earthquake, so it literally is using stairwells to get up as second, third floor. But it's definitely something we can relook at. But I think there's a lot that goes into that in regards to trying to get security, whoever's in the building at 8 o'clock at night, to get the doors open in this kind of in the time frame we've got. Is all about the urgency about it all. It's looking at things like open car parks. Cayman Bay has some brilliant car parks.
Yes,
elevated. So it's those kind of things to look around for. But I always encourage people to do a risk assessment when I go into a building. And again, I guess because we live and breathe hazards, but I will look for things like the fire escape. I'll look for the closest, highest elevated area. So I do an automatic risk assessment in my head. I don't expect everyone to do that because, of course, they're not in hazard management. But if looking at the basics, your home and your if you have kids at schools and so forth, and your office buildings, to sort of understand what you would do. If by chance, given that you spend so much time between those places, what would you do if this happened again? It's really important to say what's close I could access easily, because you don't want to get to an office building, and even if there's ever a regulation about opening them, and actually trying to get in and finding that you can't get in because the security guard hasn't unlocked the door or whatever. So I think it's really important to see what is obvious for you. If you're driving to Cayman Bay, again, there's 2 or 3 very big car parking spaces that have several layers. But again, please don't get in your car unless you really have to, unless you're in a really difficult predicament on the coast. Because you don't want to get caught out in a tsunami in the car. And that's why we did so much work with the schools, because we found in 2020 that a lot of parents were getting in the cars straight away. And it's human nature to want to go pick up your kids. But what I would really impress upon the parents is you have an obligation to yourselves and to your children to make sure that the schools understand and what their plan is, so you feel comfortable. They have a plan with the children. They're not taking all the children out right next to the sea, because again, the tsunami threat is potential there as well. And you don't want to be leaving a building if you're in a sound structure in an earthquake. We don't encourage you to leave the building until you have the all clear from the tsunami, because the tsunami threat in Cayman again is a real one. Yes, it's a low probability, but it's still there.
Okay. Susan, you want to go to headline news now? You ready for me now? Not quite ready yet. Okay, so I'm going to share this. So we're getting a little back and forth with this person, and I'm not going to. We want to really focus on others as well, but this person also says in relation to the response that we gave in relation to the various apps and everything, and they said on their response to number one, which was having the app rather than it being optional.
Yes.
That it should be imposed
Mandatory.
upon them. So the person says, not good enough. We have people joining the country all the time while relocating or visiting. Can we not have like an Amber alert in the U.S.? I know I don't have a U.S. phone, but they do get alerts.
So that's exactly what we're working on. So phase 3 of this National Emergency Notification App, which started last year, is cellular broadcast. So that will be happening. It's just got to happen. So yes, we hear what the phase 2 was a stopgap.
Yeah.
The app really was a stopgap a couple of years ago to make sure we get to phase 3. But again, every single mode. So yes, the cellular broadcast will definitely happen in the Cayman Islands. We just got to make it happen. And of course, it's not for lack of work. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that it's the right procurement methods and this and that. I'm not giving any excuses because I do think the cellular broadcast has to happen ASAP. But I do think it's one of those things that, yes, it's definitely been worked on, and we will make sure it happens.
It's a crucial need. I should use it appropriately.
Excellent. Yeah. We're going to our headline news. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Minister for Social Development announced that an extra $250 will be added to financial assistance being received by seafarers and veterans as part of their ex gratia payment. In Parliament, he said this is an increase to the long-term financial assistance payments from a maximum of $1,250 to $1,500. Donald Trump says he will unveil a fresh group of tariffs this week, including 25% on all steel and aluminum imports. The U.S. president also says he's planning to impose, quote, reciprocal tariffs on countries currently taxing U.S. imports, but did not specify which nations would be targeted or if there would be any exemptions. Canada and Mexico are two of the U.S.'s biggest steel trading partners, and Canada is the biggest supplier of aluminum into the U.S. Canada warns the tariffs would have a damaging impact on its economy, while Australia says thousands of Americans' jobs could be lost if Trump pushes ahead with his plans. And one of the biggest sporting events in the world took place in New Orleans as the Philadelphia Eagles clinched this year's Super Bowl with an emphatic 40-22 victory over defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. The event did not just bring out the best the NFL has to offer this season, but plenty of Hollywood A-listers, musicians, and U.S. President Donald Trump were spotted in the stands of the Superdome. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have representatives from Hazard Management Cayman Islands in the studio with us, as well as the Director General from the National Weather Service, talking about the earthquake and the tsunami event over the weekend. Who's going to grab the mic now? John?
I'm sorry, I was checking something. Sorry. You were saying?
Okay, I'll grab the mic while he grabs it.
Gather myself.
I said, I just think it's so important to be very proactive with this. Again, we're talking about knowing your own risks. We have a really, really good guide on. I'm just showing the camera there now, but I know you're not all watching the camera. But it's an all-hazard guide that we produced last year. We also have a really good video about earthquakes, about what to do in an earthquake, that we'll be putting out again on our website today. But it's on various channels. It's definitely on YouTube, so you can go on. Cayman Prepared earthquake video that was kindly sponsored by R3. But there's so much information here. But of course, again, going back to ownership, people do need, because of the time frame. Hurricanes, we've got loads of time to tell you exactly what to do and when to do it and so forth. Albeit, I do want, obviously people should be understanding what the risks are in hurricane. With something like an earthquake, there's lots of simultaneous activity going around. We said we're talking about PR, we're talking about getting the notifications out. We're also working very closely with the utilities companies throughout, because I was on the phone to various people, utilities, so CUC, water, gas, and so forth, making sure there's no big damages there. We're also talking to police, talking about roadblocks and so forth, or trying to get extra surge capacity out there, and potentially even, albeit we didn't on Saturday, but potentially even getting the X-ray 1 out to do some aerial footage and understanding if there's any wave action there. So all these things are kind of happening. And I think with the time frame that you have, again, 30 minutes in this case on Saturday, people really need to understand their risks. I can't hammer home this enough, because again, there's, I think my phone must have gone off about 1,000 times saying, "Oh, what do I do? I'm in a one story." I'm like, you need to know this now, as in yesterday, because it's so critical that you take ownership of your own safety and those around you, and you know how to respond. If you are in a good building and there's an earthquake and you feel it, just don't leave the building. We've done a lot of work with surveyors on this, and people who are specialised in the construction industry over the last couple of years, saying, and again, with building codes in Cayman the way they are, and they're so strong, we strongly encourage people, if there's an earthquake, to duck, cover and hold underneath the tables. Appreciate the furniture these days isn't what it used to be, and IKEA furniture is not quite as stable as others, but again, making sure you're covering your head. If you're in a car, again, stay in the car, keep your seatbelt on, and then put your hazard lights on, but don't keep driving. Obviously, go stationary. If you're in bed, again, cover your head if you can with a duvet cover and a pillow. And the most important thing is to protect your head, because obviously that's going to be the most damage. But again, do not leave the building until the tsunami all clear has been given. We won't always have a tsunami threat. However, the chances are it could be a possibility. So you're much better off staying in the building, going upstairs if you have a 2, 3, 4-story building, and then again protecting yourselves. One of the biggest issues, again, is things flying off the walls, for example. So making sure you don't have big, heavy frames above your bed, for example, or things that are going to fall down, and making sure sort of things like bookcases are, stabilised firmly against the wall. But there's so many of these ideas in our public messaging at Hazard Management. Again, www.caymanprepared.ky. It's all there electronically. We have physical copies, again, here, of all hazards and how you respond to each hazard. But again, I'm strongly encouraging the public to really understand what to do in any eventuality.
So how do we overcome, because it is quite evident that the public has a stronger reliance on government agencies as opposed to their own taking their own initiative to be informed and everything. How do we overcome that, or do we overcome it in terms of that continued reliance on government agencies? And I'll go a little bit further. I think that when you survey those platforms, social media platforms, and if you have access to some WhatsApp groups, I think it's going to become quite evident that on the weekend, people were quite disappointed in terms of the amount of information that was out there. And I understand, completely different when you're preparing for a hurricane and when you have a tsunami event. So this person says, what is the notification plan if there was a collapse of the telecoms network post an earthquake? And also, why was Radio Cayman not carrying any regular messages? Now, I don't expect you to speak to Radio Cayman, and I can't as well, but I've put it out there.
Yeah, probably I could touch on that. 'Cause
sure.
We have series of communication channels, and if we had a situation where I would say go dark in the sense of no power available, because that could be a situation. We do focus on, or we have like a radar alert working with the operators as well. So we will have backup power, and then we could broadcast over the airwaves. So if we had that challenge, then we could move to that medium. I think what we need to understand carefully, and we look at 2020, all of these various events, you have different playing roles and activities that take place in terms of the impact. So what we saw in 2020, we had seismic activities. There were shakes. So persons were quite aware, and persons, were in action. In this particular case, there were calls coming in, then we checked, verify, okay, there's been an earthquake. And the big focus here was really around the tsunami threat. So now, again, all of these various impacts we have to really look at it carefully. And the information that we provided, if you look at on the records what we're seeing here, we sent out roughly 4 alerts. So the first one we sent out to notify persons. I know persons would have said, oh, my phone is going off so much. But again, we're trying to get information out.
Yes.
And secondly, we did the all clear, which is again to advise persons. So I think what we need to look at carefully and is to work again with different organizations. I know with companies, both public and private sector partnerships, I think that will really drive and really support when it's going forward. Our continuous, referred to as PPP, public-private participation, is very critical, especially coming out of this. I would say exercise. This event, I'm so used to so many exercises. Was it out of this event that took place on Saturday?
I'll say something too, and that is really and truly, when you're looking at an earthquake, and we in the Cayman Islands, we're more used to dealing with a hurricane.
Yeah.
And with a hurricane coming from a distance away from you, you get a number of bulletins coming out and what have you. When you're dealing with an earthquake and tsunami, there are not too many different bulletins coming out. It's just 1 or 2 bulletins. You're not going to be getting, one every 2 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that. There just isn't anything new to add to the story at that particular point, because this thing is coming and it's coming fast. The second part, and it has to do with the response. I can't say it enough. A tsunami is a series of waves. Okay? So you might be in your building and you might see the first wave coming. He goes, it's over. No, because you don't even know if the second wave may even be bigger than the first one. All right. This is defined as a low probability, high impact type event. And it's something that people are going to, become very aware of it around whenever we have events, okay? And the further away you go from events, then the more they're going to get lackadaisical and what have you. So it is something, we may get annoying with it and stuff like that, but every once in a while we have to remind you about what this is, because there's always the possibility if it occurs.
I think going back to, again, for Saturday's event, the power of a wave, a tsunami wave, is extremely strong. So people say, well, it's only a maximum 3.3 feet or 1 meter, is the equivalent. Now that is a very, very powerful wave. And I was in Thailand after tsunami for a good few months, working over there as a dive recovery person. And again, we had several waves then. It wasn't tsunami waves, but the power of those waves were extraordinary. And I almost got caught in one many moons ago. And again, I don't think we should ever underestimate the power of even the smallest of waves to knock you off your feet, and potential, again, other more fatal issues there. Also, one of the things I just want to bring attention to, I know a lot of people were saying, well, we're not expecting the wave till 23, well, I guess it was 11:58. Now, bearing in mind, anything on USGS is UTC. So that would be 6:58 in Cayman. So just bear in mind, if you're doing your own research, brilliant, but make sure you're on the right time zone so you don't get caught off guard.
Correct.
Getting back to something that you just mentioned, The National Weather Service is in an interesting position here. Because we have our own warning systems for our wind waves, wind-driven waves. A tsunami is not a wind-driven wave, okay? So you will hear us say 5 to 7 feet, and that's a marine warning and everything, and you go like, all right, well, I don't have to worry until the wave heights get to 5 to 7 feet. In a tsunami situation, you can a much lower wave can do a significant amount of damage. The other thing too is that when you reread the statement that came from the Pacific Warning Center, what they said to you basically is that when you're dealing with coves and bathymetry and what have you, that wave can be quite a bit higher than that. It's also influenced by tides and what have you. Now on the 7 Mile Beach, maybe we get away with it because that's a fairly straight beach. It doesn't have any coves on it and what have you. But what about Smith Cove? You would expect a tsunami wave to be significantly amplified in there. But more specifically with a tsunami wave is that it's coming in at high speeds. Okay, and when it catches you and it knocks you off your feet, it doesn't have to drown you immediately, but because it is moving so fast and it can sweep you off your feet. 1 minute you're in one location, next minute you're miles away. Okay.
Is it likely to be multi-directional as well, or one side of the island as opposed to the other side, depending on what?
Generally speaking, the tsunami is generated as a series of waves from one point. All right. So when Ms. Coleman asked me last night and said, what coast are we looking at? And I said, well, the center is to the southwest of the island. I'm expecting 7 Mile Beach area and the southern coast. Those two particular coasts is the ones that were our main focuses at this particular point. Anybody on those beaches and stuff like that. And generally speaking, from time if you're on the beach and you start to feel a shaking, get off the beach.
Yeah, get straight.
You don't wait for Danny Coleman to call you and say, get off the beach. Get off the beach.
Please don't wait for that call.
Okay. So and this is where the public education and the your own personal understanding of what an earthquake and a tsunami is. You have to take a greater appreciation of it.
I think going back to my experience again in Thailand after the tsunami in 2004, Boxing Day tsunami, again, the amount of people that died because they were just curious. I mean, I guess back then we weren't used to tsunamis and it wasn't really a regular threat or talked about. But again, the amount of people that sort of sat on the beach and you can see the waves going out and receding, and then all of a sudden they get battered by this wave. And that was a real common thing 20 years ago, but we have no excuse now that we know much more about it. We know the signs. Animals are very good detectors of earthquakes and all that as well. So that's one thing to look at as well. But at the same time, knowing the signs. Interesting enough, in Thailand, I know we don't have elephants here, but the elephants actually left very, very quickly. They bolted, and a lot of the animals followed the elephants after the earthquake in Koh Lak in Thailand. And again, that was because they sensed it, obviously, that the pads of the feet are very big. But most of the animals survived, whereas a lot of the humans were there looking at the sea and wondering what was going on. It's a really important thing to know what the risks are and to know the signs of a tsunami. And again, all of that is on our website, but we really are very happy to come into offices, to come into schools, to come into service clubs, churches, whatever. Invite us in because we can do a tsunami one-on-one. I think we'll probably be looking into doing a bit of a roadshow again this year as well. So lots of information there for you.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. There, Ms. Susan, I believe there are several people trying to get through. What we will do, if you have covered everything that you wanted to cover, we'll open up the phone lines. We're going to ask people to please be as respectful as possible. Number 2, bear in mind that the persons that we have in the studio with us, they are civil servants. They're not politicians, right? So they're going to talk about technical issues and whatever policy issues that they can talk about, but don't try to put them on the spot in relation to everything. So please be respectful. Bear in mind that they're civil servants, and also try to be as brief as possible with your questions or comments so that we can accommodate as many callers as possible. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, The phone lines will be open. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our Custom Closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
With Orrett Connor.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before we go to the phone lines, I want to remind you we have in the studio with us two representatives from Hazard Management Cayman Islands, Mr. Mark Codling and the director, Ms. Danielle Coleman, and we also have in the studio with us the Director General of the National Weather Service, Mr. John Tibbetts. We're talking about the earthquake and tsunami event that took place over the weekend. For the person asking the question in relation to Radio Cayman, so Radio Cayman, we had was on the air after 7 p.m. until about 10 p.m., and also the fact that there were persons live in the studio throughout the early evening and the night at Radio Cayman. So we were here. I wasn't, but they were here as well, and providing you with the information that they received. And we know that, you know, this is really not the time for the blame game. This is the time for us to learn from our experiences, not only on the government side, but we as individuals, as persons who ultimately have responsibility for our own safety when certain things occur as well. Ms. Susan, do we have any caller on hold? One caller, let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. Good morning to your panel. Just first of all, let me just say that my comments are going to be quick and to the point, so please forgive me if they come across as hard or any other way critical. There's actually what I like to think is constructive criticism, not blame game, but providing solutions. So forgive me if it comes across wrong way. Other than that, it's just strictly business. And also, too, let me just thank Danny Coleman and the rest of the team for their relentless work and trying to keep us as an island safe. Oftentimes we can tell it's a very thankless job. Having said all of that, and for the record, I've actually been in the construction industry for the past 40 years. I actually own a school on Old Prospect Point Road, which was designed for hurricane storm surge as well as, on a hopefully non-event of a tsunami. I designed my building for that particular reason, and it actually stood up to Hurricane Ivan, which had, over 10-foot surges come ashore, and it was the only building on Old Prospect Point Road that was not inundated with flood waters, with seawater. And I say that to say that there's ways we can mitigate these things, and unfortunately, a lot of people learned that their properties aren't designed as such, and we need to move forward with that in mind for the future. Having said all of that, there's a couple of things that I think that we need to take a hard line on. And when I say we, in the government, National Emergency Operations Centers, and everything else, the local telecom companies, it needs to be a legal mandate that they actually provide for the privilege of offering services to the Caymanian public. They are obligated to provide instant text system through everybody. The one thing we all know, we might not be by TV, we may not be by a radio, and we may be out to dinner, but what we're not is any more than 3 feet from our phones. I mean, we even take them to the bathrooms. So then there should be literally a button that Danny and her team presses that sends it to a switchboard at the local telecom companies, which in turn sends an SMS. Because let me promise you, any concert that they are part sponsoring, we get those text messages. Any event, any promotion, we get those text messages as a mass distribution, and it's automatic. So it's not like they're sending it out there. So it's not difficult. I think what's happening here is that a lot of these companies have been allowed to operate at will on quote-unquote good faith and are not in turn reciprocating. And this is what so if a law needs to be put in place to say for the privileges operating here, this is what you need to do, then so be it. But it also has to take a strong position from the government to insist that this happens. And that is, I think, I'm not a technical guy there, but this is a lot of common sense that should work. As far as the sirens, I respectfully disagree with Mrs. Coleman to a point. I do believe there's 2 strategic locations that we have to have these sirens, and that's at the fuel depots. Nowhere else on the island is needed because hurricanes do not sneak up on us. We know they're coming, and we know they're coming from weeks, if not at a minimum days away. We can have that sorted out. Obviously, tsunami is a different situation, which be fixed by the SMS. But I actually coincidentally happen to be living between the 2 fuel depots, and if one or both are affected, I have no driveway to get out of. I am stuck in my area. And so this issue, I was assured by the member for South Sound, the constituent of South Sound, and the colleague for Georgetown West, that this would have been resolved when we had that initial emergency with the fire at the Esso terminal. Nothing came of it. And again, this comes back to my solution for this simply is not the government's on dime. This is their dime. These petroleum companies operate with, I can't remember how many billion-dollar quarterly profit globally. And they themselves avail themselves to every emergency system there is invented in the world, and they're probably financed the invention of some of these systems because of self-preservation. So to that end, nobody's more knowledgeable and experienced with emergency signals. And for something as simple as this island, and putting and having each one of them pay to have them installed, they will not get blown away by hurricanes. I assure you. They have oil rigs in the middle of the Gulf that take 150-mile-an-hour winds on a monthly basis. So they have the wherewithal to install these for the safety of us, and then our government needs to put in an emergency exit strategy in place for those of us who live between the 2 terminals. And if you think it's only a handful, you're sadly mistaken. It's in the hundreds, and that can be catastrophe. And I say that to say that I'm tired of our government reacting to a catastrophe instead of being proactive. And this is not a criticism to Danny and team. This is successive governments, and it continues going on here now. We need to start taking a harder stance on this. With that, I have a lot more I can say, but those are the key points that I wanted to hit, and I bid you all a good day. And again, thank you for all your hard work. But SMS is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Give you all an opportunity to respond.
I think the caller has some really good points there. Again, I'm certainly not opposed to, taking a bit more of a hard line with the local telecoms. I do think a lot of this is a public-private partnership, so those conversations are being had with Ofreg and the various providers. In regards to the sirens, yes, again, that's another work that's been admittedly since Sol Fire, so it hasn't moved us forward as quickly as possible. Again, talking about public-private partnerships, about trying to put sirens there. I'm not, just to clarify, I'm not anti-sirens across the board. I do think, across the islands I am, because I think it's too much financially. It's not worth the money that we could spend on the cellular broadcast. But I do agree with the caller in that highly volatile areas like the petroleum areas, and that's what we were looking at again with the various providers there, as to how do we make sure that their alert system in very vulnerable areas, and I say highly residential, but also very, very hazardous areas, do have those things. So it's again work in progress. I know Max.
Yeah, I would have done some work in it, I think, in 2019.
Yeah, it's gone back a long time. But again, I think the caller's right, and that this needs to happen quickly as opposed to snail's pace. We need to be moving forward on these things, definitely.
And I do agree with him in the sense that you don't need those sirens for hurricanes.
No, they're not for hurricanes, but as in the hurricane being the threat.
You don't usually use those kind of things for hurricanes and stuff like that. You would use them for something like a tsunami or something like that you need to get the message out right away and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
We understand different people have different opinions and stuff like that about it, but generally speaking, if you're going to have those kind of alerts, that's what they're for.
And I think the caller's point was more about that the infrastructure itself would be able to take the, wouldn't have an issue with a siren in a hurricane. Now, I know our own experience is what we saw in BVI after Irma and Maria. Unfortunately, those sirens did get wiped out. Yeah. So I guess it depends on how good the infrastructure is in order to make sure that it doesn't get wiped out. And I think he's got a good point. I mean, nowadays, the technology's there. It's just that we've got to make sure that the public-private partnership is strong enough that it's co-funded. Because, again, those areas are dangerous. We want to make sure that we don't have another repeat of the Seoul fire, albeit that turned out much better than it could have done. Had it gone the other way, we could have had some serious issues there.
Any other calls on hold, Ms. Susan? No call. One of the questions, and I think I shared it with you off air, had to do with any inspection of the Cayman Trench or the fault area to see whether or not what sort of condition it is in. And I did share with you an article in the Trade Winds newspaper of, I think it was 1966, talking about the Bartlett Deep to be, that was just a sounding at that point in time. And I'll just share this with our listeners. So in 1966, the Trade Winds newspaper said that a 176-foot motor vessel, the John Elliott Pillsbury, which was a research vessel at the University of Miami, was going to make a profile study of the Bartlett Deep, which is known as now as the Cayman Trench, with a precision depth recorder during the next few months. And they go on at that point in time to talk about the Bartlett Deep probably being the deepest spot in the Atlantic. We've heard Mr. Tibbetts off air speak about the fact it's probably the second. At that point in time, they estimated it to be between 20,000 and 24,000 feet deep. Where are we as far as research vessels are concerned and their ability these days?
I haven't heard too much about research vessels, but let's understand the context in which I was talking about the research. The article that you read there is a sounder. It basically got depth readings and what have you. But what I was asking about is not how deep the water is, but I want to know what the composition of the land of the landmass is below it. All right, because it will tell scientists if the two plates can slide by each other fairly comfortably. We use a big broom and we say a transform fault, generally speaking, does not produce tsunamis. Okay? But because we don't know all about how that structure is, there are ways in which even on a horizontal motion that you can get tsunamis generated. You can get some subduction and stuff like that to generate them. Okay? Especially with something earthquake the caliber of 7.6. So that's the kind of research I was talking about, not just depth sounding. With regards to the depth and stuff like that, there are two very deep places in the Caribbean. The Cayman Trench is about 26,000 feet. Next to Puerto Rico, I believe it's about 30,000 feet or something like that. Wow. So the two particularly very deep spots in the Atlantic Ocean, in the Caribbean Sea.
Okay, we have a WhatsApp caller. We're going to take that caller now. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Osi.
Morning, good morning.
This is Fabian speaking, Rambo. Good morning to the panel. Good morning, Ms. Donna.
Good morning, sir.
Ms. Osi. Yeah, because Space Spicer. This competition, right, is very polemical, right? There's no dispute about it. I recorded a couple of years ago, Ms. Donna was on with Sterling, and I would tell her, apparently, we need some sirens, right, across the board, post office, or whatever, certain around the Cayman Islands, always every 76 square miles around Cayman, right? If 14 Cayman Block, in 10 in the Cayman, 100 square miles totally, So we need sirens, right? And some strobe lights, 140 decibels maximum. Who impaired it like I hear, you know? And the whole premise of this, you know, always MSOC, you're aware it. We have area lights variation with lights, red lights, right, on the light poles. So in that situation, they've lost our tsunami. I recall I went to Tampa my bands years ago, and I came back from Tampa. They had a tsunami in Thailand. December 2004. And prior before that, we had an earthquake after I went to December. And also in Fukushima, Japan, 2011. There was serious tsunami. And the whole velocity of that sea, it could be up to 500 miles per hour. Say, for instance, from the eastern seaboard, Atlantic Ocean, in the Caribbean, in no time, 500 miles per hour. In the space 3 hours. So, but emphasize this morning, we need a strobe light in 104 decibels in private sector. Did he come in face with that? Right from that branch, executive branch, with that partly according to policies. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Just to sort of, again, just to sort of reiterate.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of work and research has gone on of the last, I guess, 5 or 6, maybe longer years between hazard management, OFREG and various other local stakeholders. We need to determine what the best methods are to get the word out. And, of course, there's different methods of doing so. As I say, the white paper that was developed many years ago by OFREG, which we've worked on ourselves in the last couple of years.
12 channels.
Talking about 12 channels of getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, with the technical expertise that we have, not myself, but others who are involved in EA, we call it early warning systems, we have to decide what's the best bang for the buck. What's the most effective way of getting the word out? Obviously, the first phase was the radio interrupt, which we can interrupt all the radio stations. The second one was the app. And again, the app was really a stopgap that was funded by the FCDO, Governor's Office. And again, I think, we all agree, both the technical specialists, but also everyone in the sort of field, that the cellular broadcast is definitely the way forward. Because again, everyone has either a cell phone or is in range of someone with a cell phone. And it really is an important aspect to our early warning systems. And again, being aware of other social media and this and that, and I appreciate that a lot of these things, if we had a serious earthquake that really did impact the island, communications would be impacted. Hence why it's really important that everyone does understand what to do if they can't get that warning, because in that kind of situation, obviously you will feel it. But again, being aware of your surroundings. I mean, I was in Commander Bay when this happened the other night, and it didn't appear that anyone really, a lot of them were tourists, and of course they hadn't downloaded the app because we wouldn't expect them to really, except for we do a bit of work with the tourism department. But again, if we had a cellular broadcast system, they would all be very aware very quickly.
Right.
But again, I mean, I'm not 100% opposed to sirens, but they have to be in the right strategic areas, and they have to be very, very few as opposed to a large number, because they really are, in fact, very, very difficult to maintain. But I do, again, in the volatile areas like, South Church Street area with all the fuel, I'm certainly not opposed to that. I think it's a good idea. Strobe lights, I'm not entirely sure about that one, but again, I think we're ears, open to all suggestions, and we can take it away and really evaluate the actual the best way forward.
Okay. Now, this topic was dealt with before, but it may be worth repeating. So the person says that they're not sure whether or not this was mentioned, but please ask the panel if they're looking at some of the high-rise buildings around the island to serve as shelters in case of tsunami, because we have hurricane shelters, but they can't serve as tsunami shelters, as well. So if you can, again, go over that, and then at the same time touch on the whole tricky issue of people leaving where they are to go someplace else, and what they should take into consideration when making that decision.
I mean, Mark's been working very hard in the last couple of years on vertical evacuation, sort of tsunami mapping, so he can talk a bit more about that. But again, it's not we were talking the other day on Saturday, like, should we open the shelters? As in, someone was asking us if shelters was opening. Now, you don't have time to go to a shelter. One, we don't want you on the road if we can avoid it.
Yes.
But two, the shelter potentially is, it's not the right place to go anyway, because unless there is a tsunami that you're impacted, we'd open the shelters afterwards. In a tsunami, if we were impacted, obviously the shelters would open as a long-term plan. You're not going to a shelter to, in a tsunami, really, because again, you just don't have the time. It's really important. It's just to find the closest building that's got more than one story and get up. Mark, do you want to talk about the bit of evacuation?
I think the vertical mapping that we did, we're looking at buildings across Grand Cayman in particular, just focusing after 2020 impact from that earthquake. So what we looked at were mainly public buildings, so 2-story and higher. We could identify those locations. We could see. I think a big push is, I know we would have worked on with the team, especially our colleagues coming from the Tsunami Warning Center, on tsunami-ready communities. I think that's an initiative that we need to embark upon and really push. Because if you should look at even countries like New Zealand, what they will do, they have markings on the road, and they will say, if there's a tsunami, you need to go beyond this point. So again, a lot of work would have been done with the scientists to establish what is the possible scenarios, having that implemented. So it's really working closely with the community. It has to be a grassroots approach from bottom up, where we work closely with the stakeholders and ensuring that everybody's on board in terms of where are those areas that we consider. I know with what John mentioned earlier, especially with 7 Mile Beach area, for example, it's going to be impacted. What's the plan in this region? Looking at the area around the port in Georgetown, what is the plan in these areas on the south zone and the southern coast in particular? So we need to establish within these areas particular plans and really push towards working with the various stakeholders.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. One other question that we have from our listener that has to do with the fact that we know, as far as hurricanes are concerned, that climate change is going to affect, the frequency as well as the strength of hurricanes. Do we have any similar data in relation to the frequency of earthquakes? I think that's a valid question. Huh? We do have a caller. We're going to take that caller as soon as we return as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last leg of the show this morning. We do have one caller and we're going to take that caller. That's going to be the last caller because we want to give our panelists an opportunity to again rehash some of the things that they have spoken about because what they have to say is so extremely important to your and my safety as well. Let's grab the caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning again. I forgot one point.
Okay.
The number of people that cannot swim on this island, and therefore to say that don't panic, those people will not listen to reason for obvious reasons. So I think one of the things we may need to do is, and I don't know if it's already done, but I'll certainly put it out there. I had a friend of mine who actually can't swim, called me knowing that I'm involved in some planning of this stuff, asking me where to be. And so obviously I give him higher ground and bypass, etc. But if we have a matrix in a statistic where how many people on average are able to swim, because Cayman of the days gone by where swimming was our pastime, no longer the case, and I think we'd be shocked to know how much a percentage of the population cannot swim. So to that end, obviously that would allow for the emergency responders to already have that data somewhat or some idea of how much they'd be impacted by that particular statistic, and that could go a long way to being proactive. And with that, I thank you for letting me have my say on For the Record. And have a great day.
Thank you very much for calling in as well. Very, very useful points that you have raised and suggestions as well, folks.
I think it's a really good point. I know there's a lot of people in Cayman that can't swim. I'm a massive believer of trying to empower yourself as much as possible or mitigate against your risk. Obviously, hurricane's one of the biggest issues there is storm surge. So you're going to be impacted potentially if you can't swim more so than others if there's a hurricane or there's a tsunami or whatever it might be. So just empowering yourself, either learning to swim or taking measures such as making sure you have a life jacket close to you. There's lots of things you can do if you don't like the ocean. But again, life jackets, it's the most obvious thing. Having a grab-and-go bag in your car, for example, is a really good example of trying to make sure that you are as prepared as possible from a safety perspective and that you can respond to others. We do a community emergency response team. We train people up free of charge for a good few times a year in a number of different things like fire suppression, things like damage assessments, and a lot of different tools that can help you, empower you in order to be as strong as you can in this kind of scenario. But empowering yourself is so important, and again, mitigating against the risks that you own personally have that others may not have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
and just to
ahead,
say
John.
something also on that is that please understand when you're dealing with a tsunami and stuff, when you're talking about how fast that water is going to be moving and stuff like that, you need to understand that you're going to be challenged. Even the best swimmers are going to be challenged.
You could be an Olympic swimmer. You're not going to be able to outrun it.
You're not going to be able to outrun it. The best thing to do is let it take you where it has to take you, and then try to recover from it.
And again, protecting your head being one of the most, be it an earthquake or a tsunami, protecting your head and face is very important.
Okay, so we can start. In terms of rehashing everything, let's start with the timeline, as far as the Cayman Islands were concerned and notification, as well as the protocols.
I guess very quickly from our perspective, and again, the earthquake happened at 6:23 p.m. on Saturday night. The social media stuff was out at 6:35, and again at 7:01, I think it was. And the National Emergency Notification app came out at 6:39. Now, again, bear in mind this is out of office, so this has to go through a duty officer, a 911 call, and so forth. So it's as quick as it can be. Obviously, if we're inside the office and all the alerts start going off, we could probably be a bit quicker. But tsunamis and earthquakes don't happen from 9 till 5, generally speaking. It's often antisocial hours, 2 o'clock in the morning. So really beginning to know that you have to know what to do and not wait for the messaging. If you feel something very strong, obviously do that earthquake-wise, just, drop, cover and hold underneath a sturdy piece of furniture. Again, we talked about being in bed, being in the car, whatever else. All this stuff can be found on hazard management website and social media pages. But making sure that you're constantly doing a risk assessment where you are. So if you're not everywhere you go, obviously, but your home, if your kids are at school, if you're at work, making sure that you really do understand what the risk is there. If by chance you're in an earthquake or even a fire or whatever else it might be, really appreciate there's a lot of anxiety on the island today and yesterday. And again, there's a 7.6 earthquake is no small issue with a tsunami threat. So we appreciate that obviously the tensions are pretty high. But there's so much you can do. I always worry about people, well, there's nothing you can do, you stick your head in the sand. Well, there's so much you can do, to empower yourself, to make sure that you can respond and save the life of your own, your family, your friends, whatever it might be. So trying to put that anxiety aside as much as possible, making sure that you know what to do. Again, looking at our website with all the different information, making sure you've downloaded the app. If you haven't downloaded the app, please do so today. If you're having technical issues, again, we're going to have that support technical line open, needs@gov.ky again, or just call the office. Very, very happy to help you. There's a lot of regular things happening, and it's because perhaps it hasn't been checked for some time. So there's very easy fixes to those error messages that some people are seeing. But again, making sure that you are doing your very utmost to be prepared for any eventuality is so important.
Someone offline was asking about the booklet that you held up earlier. Okay. Where can that be? Where can they get that?
So we have all of these in the government admin building. I think we put them in supermarkets. We're trying to get some more for supermarkets.
Yes, we did.
But it's all online again at www.caymanprepared.ky. So if you don't want to waste paper, by all means just go online. There's a hurricane booklet, but this all hazard booklet literally covers everything from floods to nor'westers to fire safety to lightning to flooding, whatever else.
You can hold it up, Danny.
Okay, so it's a really good, very, very big comprehensive guide, and each section you go to, obviously protecting your property, looking out for even droughts we cover in this book. So this is Cayman specific, big long thing, earthquake, practice plans and find safe places, what you should do in an earthquake. There's so much information here, so we're strongly encouraging the public to get hold of one of these. We'll do our best to make sure they're disseminated across the island.
Yep.
But again, you can get them online at www.caymanprepared.ky.
Well, there was a time when we used to have the Cayman magazine on Cayman Airways. Maybe we should put it on Cayman Airways as well.
Certainly not opposed to that.
Yes.
To our friends at Cayman Airways.
Okay, John, closing comments?
Just to point out something, in what Danny was talking about, and when she was talking about the hurricane season, there's no thing called a tsunami season.
We do tend to see action in January, though.
It comes every day of the year. You can get an earthquake or a tsunami. So just stay prepared and get as knowledgeable about it as you can get. Get in contact with Danny and her team and check their websites on the advice that they've got to give you.
Yes. Mr. Codling.
Yes, just taking the final step here, just to indicate nobody plans to fail. We simply fail to plan. So it's important to have those plans in place. Both from public, private sector collaboration is key in working together to achieve the goal and to ensure the Cayman Islands is safe going forward. Thank you.
Okay, we still have those were quick closing comments there.
Concise.
We still have about 4 minutes.
You wanted a speech.
I think we're probably still on adrenaline from Saturday night. Everything is very concise and to the point. But yeah, again, I think. Well, I guess going back to the anxiety point, we do have the K-Mind mental helpline for anyone who is experiencing anxiety. We appreciate the world that we live in is full of risks, and there's a lot of fear out there. I think one of the questions earlier on were about, you mentioned about whether earthquakes will get more frequent with climate change. I think it's very obvious the world is not very, very happy with its residents right now. And I think, you see in Greece, for example, they've had, I think they're into 700 plus earthquakes in the last few weeks, and the schools are still offline. A lot of the island, like Santorini, for example, has been evacuated partially. So there's a lot going on, a lot of fires we saw over the year, frequent, but we are seeing more hazards. And we talked about the frequency of storms and storm surge and other things, fires seeming to be much more frequent than they used to be. So that my opinion there is not based on science by any shape or form in regards to earthquake frequency for climate change. But again, climate change is a real thing. We're seeing sea level rises. We're seeing the impacts of those things would be more dangerous with sea level rising. So again, just know your risks, stay prepared, make sure you're doing whatever you can to get yourself empowered and your family. And especially if you've got specific needs, vulnerabilities in the family, make sure everyone is looked after, including animals and obviously the children. And I don't say that in that priority, animals and the children. Sure. But more importantly, it is so important to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to empower yourselves.
Okay, this person come in and say that we should make people decide if we want to pay the bill and not leave it to the ministry to decide if something costs too much. And they go on to say, Danny, we appreciate you, but do not make our government make a real call for these sirens. So
no, again,
funding is not an issue, right?
Funding's not the issue.
Right.
The issue is what is the priority? What's going to hit the most people in regards to messaging?
Yes.
And it's been decided again by a large number of stakeholders.
More bang for the buck.
I'm just one of the people at the table, but there's a lot of people out there involved in these conversations from a technical standpoint. What is the best bang for the buck? How can we get the word out there with, whatever that funding looks like? The funding can be increased if we think the need is there. But I think the most important thing at this time is cellular broadcast.
Okay. And the mention of the fact that while we had a 7.6, 8.0, whatever, that these occurrences, how frequently do they occur throughout the world or those areas on a daily basis? What's the average, number of tremors and earthquakes that take place that we don't hear about?
Well, I think, when I can't speak necessarily about the world.
Yeah.
Necessarily. You don't, it's not every day we get up and we hear there's a huge earthquake, but there are huge earthquakes occurring around the place. I looked more at the Cayman area, and since about 2018, we've had about 6 earthquakes that are 6.1 or higher. Okay, so if you want some sort of guesstimate of frequency in our particular area, as a place that is basically right next to a fault line, okay, we are indeed blessed that the fault line is the type of fault line it is, and that we do have that deep Cayman trench there, in whatever role that plays.
But the threat is still there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure people are aware and can prepare and respond in any eventuality. And just again, in regards to this one that we just had, I think it was the largest one since 2023. I believe that's potentially very globally or regional, whatever. But either way, it's the magnitude is, there's a lot of variables there. So the depth of a earthquake has a significant amount to play in what actually happens in regards to a tsunami. So the one we saw in 2020, I can't remember what that magnitude was actually, 7.7.
7.7.
So again, that was very deep, and hence why the actual felt feeling we had in Cayman was only a 5.1. So if you think about what that looks like, you hear of a 7.7 or 7.6 in this case on Saturday, but the felt feeling will be very dependent on the depth in to the earth it is. So you may have very different consequences, but again, just go back to those who felt it in 2020. There was a lot more people felt it in 2020 obviously than what we felt on Saturday. That was actually a 5.1 felt on the feeling. So if you did have a real magnitude 8 very close to Cayman, like literally very shallow earthquake, you'd have a much bigger impact.
Certainly, yeah.
And we're very lucky we have the building codes we do have.
Yes.
However, at the same time, that would be a very different story, and we need to make sure everyone's ready for any eventuality.
Yep, can't be complacent as well. I want to thank all of you for the great work that you do in keeping the Cayman Islands safe, keeping the Cayman Islands informed, keeping the Cayman Islands, alert as well. And we also recognize that we, as the citizens of this country, that we also have to do our part, as well. It's a collaborative effort that needs to take place in order for us to keep each other safe as well. I just want to remind people to join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
Radio station.
Radio Cayman is the voice of the Cayman Islands.